Hello all, welcome to Techie Crown. Today in this video we are going to discuss in detail about the skills assessment for migration in my Australian PR journey. Come, let's get into the video. In my previous video, I've already discussed about the research, document preparation, and in today's video we are going to see the details about the skills assessment. And here comes the list of stages in the PR process. I'll be posting videos about the other steps in the coming days. Please subscribe and follow my channel to get more videos on this. The agenda of this video is to discuss or to see about the skill assessment versus assessing authority and what is ANZO, skill code, and what are all the different assessment boards and documents required in order to apply for assessment, the pre-assessment steps, the assessment steps, and the post-assessment steps. Coming to skill assessment and the authority. Skill assessment is the first step in the process. And to start the process, it is very important to meet the point requirements, as a skilled migration visa goes through a point system that determines a person's chance to get PR. Getting your Australia skill assessment evaluated is one of the immensely important factors. To get the skills assessed, you must select a job code and apply to the assessing authority, and they will check if your skill meets the standards to work in relevant occupation or not. If it meets the standard, then you will get a positive outcome. If it does not meet for the standard or for the skill you applied for, then you will get a negative outcome. So what are the documents or what you need to do in order to get the assessment done? You have to just apply with the evidence of education records and the employment to the assessing authority. To give a clarity about the assessing authority, they are an organization check for the skills to see if you meet the standards they set to work in relevant occupation or not. They basically check for the standard. It is the individual's responsibility to contact the relevant assessing authority for your occupation and obtain a skill assessment, and it is mandatory for most of the visas. So we should make sure we get the skills assessed for the relevant occupation or skill code with a positive outcome. The next thing we should understand is what is ANZO. As we have to apply for a specific job code or ANZO code, we should try to understand, or we should know what is that ANZO. ANZO is nothing but Australian and New Zealand Standard Classification of Occupations. The occupation in ANZO have a 6-digit code and are grouped by occupation type. The major group 1 are managers, group 2 comes under professionals, group 3 are technicians and trades workers, group 4 are community and personal service workers, group 5 fall under clerical and administrative workers, Group 6 sales workers, Group 7 machinery operators and drivers, Group 8 are laborers. So you should make sure you fall under a certain group, and each group will be assessed under a certain authority. For example, all IT professionals will be assessed under Australian Computer Society. Here comes the skill code. I have given a few samples or examples over here. If you are a software engineer, then your skill code will be 261313, which should be assessed against, or it should be applied with ACS, Australian Computer Society. And if your job code falls under civil engineer draft person, then it falls under DataSys. And if it is civil engineer, then with Engineers Australia. And if you are in registered nurse, then you should get it assessed with ANMAC. So similarly, based on your skill code, you should contact a relevant authority and get it assessed. Here is the list of assessment boards. I have given a few samples here. There are more assessment boards, so you should contact the relevant authority. Based on your profession and your skilled occupation, you should do the proper research which is mentioned in the episode 1 and try to find the relevant assessing authority for your skill code. For example, if you are an IT professional and wants to get assessed, then you should contact row number 5 here, ACS, Australian Computer Society. If you are a dentist and want to get assessed, then ADC. And in case of an HR professional, you can contact AIM, Australian Institute of Management. Similarly, based on your skill code, you should contact relevant assessing authority. And here comes the most common assessment board. I could see more professionals used to get them assessed with these codes: ACS, VETASES, and Engineers Australia. Here is the list of pre-assessment activities one should do before even starting to apply for assessment. So what are the steps he has to consider? The first thing is the application process. Once a person decides to do the assessment, you should know who is the relevant assessing authority for his job code or for his profession. And he has to check whether they have the priority processing. And what is priority processing? Also, you should know what are the services provided in priority processing and under what skill code he can nominate himself for the assessment, and does he has the eligibility criteria, and what is the fees and payment. And once done, he has to apply and track the application. Let us understand in detail about each and everything. Priority processing. When I talk about priority processing, which is nothing but the service with the option to fast track the assessment for their application with an additional fee. This is provided by certain assessment boards. So you should check whether your authority has the priority processing, and if you need or if you require the priority processing, then you can opt the same. This will give you the assessment in a very short period of time, but you have to provide the evidence of documents for the same. For example, in case of VETASES, priority processing is available and it can be only applied through online. Priority processing is not available for paper-based programs or paper-based applications in case of VETASES. Similarly, each and every assessing authority has their own criteria and limitations. So please check before you process your assessment. Also, one more thing to be considered in priority processing is once an application is submitted for priority processing, no additional time will be provided for document upload. Please ensure you have gathered all the required documents and understood the eligibility criteria for priority processing before you apply. Nominated occupation is an important topic that needs to be discussed in detail. One should know under which job code he has to apply for getting positive outcome. Let us discuss in detail about this nominated occupation. None of the assessing authority gives advice on the answer code. This must be determined solely by the applicant. Choosing the right job code is a challenge while applying for assessment. So you should be very careful to understand the process in order to apply on the right job code. For example, if you are working as an IT professional and as a developer, you may fall under developer programmer, also in the analyst programmer category, and also in the software engineer category. So you should understand the job requirements and the duties and the responsibilities that you are performing, and also see how good you are in sync or in alignment with the standards of the assessing authority. For example, there will be description and job duties mentioned for each answer code and the assessing authority. You should go through them and clearly see and understand where exactly you fit in. Similarly, certain job codes might be assessed by two different authorities. For example, if you are working as a civil engineer, then your job code will be 312211 and it will be assessed by VETASES. In case if you are a civil engineer, then your job code will be different. It starts with 2 and then it will be assessed by Engineers Australia. So you should be very careful in understanding your job duties and also in understanding the requirements set by the assessing authority, and you have to choose the relevant assessing authority. In case if you choose a wrong authority or if you apply for an irrelevant skill code, then you will end up getting the negative assessment and there will be no refund for the negative assessment. And again, you have to start the process from the scratch if you want to get positive assessment from the relevant assessing authority. So make sure you apply for the right job code to the right assessing authority. The next thing you have to consider is the eligibility criteria. Make sure you have enough experience and you will be having enough points, eligibility points of more than 65 even after the deduction of points after assessment. So make sure you have enough points before you get assessed or before even you start the process. Then once you choose the right relevant assessing authority, check for the fees and payment. These are the steps that you need to consider even before starting the assessment. In addition to the above process, as part of pre-assessment activities or steps, you need to consider checking the time frame. For ACS, it may take 8 weeks, and in case of other assessing authority, it may take 2 months to 3 months. So make sure you check the time frame for the authority you are applying for. And also, as I discussed before, check for any priority processing if available, because you might have already received the invite or pre-invite, or in case if your assessment is already expired. You might have already applied for the UI using the previous assessment. You would have received the invite after 1 or 2 years. By the time your assessment will be expired, so you will be forced to apply for reassessment. In such cases, you can go for priority processing. Also, before applying for the assessment, make sure if you have any RPL, so that you can avoid any deduction of points. RPL is nothing but a recognition of prior learning. In case if you have any certifications, that will avoid deduction of points. Example, if you are an electronics and communication engineer, or if a mechanical engineer working in an IT profession, there is a chance that you may get deducted for 4 years to 6 years of experience. If you have any of the Cisco certifications or any other certifications as a supporting document for your RPL, then you can provide a justification documentations that will help you to avoid deduction of more points. And the last thing you have to consider here is plan to apply at appropriate time. I will explain you in detail. Thanks for watching this episode 3. I will continue the rest in the part 2 of episode 3. Please subscribe and hit like as a token of thanks for this information. You can also contact us for any questions and guidance. Thank you. Thanks for watching.